energy efficiency from different perspectives: needs, expectations, challenges, comments on policy recommendation, funding, and convincing decision makers. The panel will be moderated by Ilkka Räsänen, who is an environmental director at the city of Lappeenranta. I will join as a panelist. Ilkka, you're in charge.
Thank you. We are gathered here at the City of Lappeenranta Congress Hall with some panelists, and others are online. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So the panel is about energy efficiency and different aspects of it in perspective to the public building owners. So because we are running out of time, so we go to the first circle around the panelists and check that our system is working well. So if I may say to all of you in the online that when you speak, you open your video and leave it on, and when you speak, you open your microphone, and when you finish your speech, close the microphone, but please leave the video on. So we can everybody see the panelists all the time. So to the first panelists, please, Mrs. Johanna Kirkinen from Energy Authority, can you present yourself?
Just a moment, everything on. Hi everybody. So my name is Johanna Kirkinen. I am a Doctor of Science in Technology. I have been working almost 17 years with energy, climate and environment expert tasks. And currently I am working in the Finnish Energy Authority, and I work there to promote energy efficiency and renewable energy, and also with the implementation of energy efficiency policies. And one big project that I have is that we are funding energy advisory in every region in Finland. And also the city of Lappeenranta is doing the energy counseling in the South Karelia.
And next one, please we go to Helka Julkunen at WWF Finland. Are you there, Helka? So if we are waiting for Helka, we go to next speaker, which is Marcin Popkiewicz from Poland. Can you hear us and can you join this panel?
Well, yes, I do hear you. Well, I'm a nuclear physicist by education. I was a CEO of an IT company, and currently I'm a megatrend analyst, focusing on interconnections between economy, energy, resources, and environment, from limits to growth to energy sources, also new PICO, Polish coal, climate, biodiversity. I work on solutions from technical ones to social ones like citizens' assemblies. Well, I'm a journalist. I run a climate science website, Airfred Crossroad website. I write to mainstream media. I write books, just like Where to the Crossroad, Energy Revolution. But why? Or climate science, workbook, and so on. I prepared various calculators also about buildings. I will paste a few links into chat if you are interested. And, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcin, for joining us today. Please leave your video on. And next Valdur Lahtvee, can you join the panel? Valdur is always also missing today, I think, but when go to these panelists at the Lappeenranta City Hall, please introduce yourself, Mr. Markus Lankinen.
Hello, my name is Markus Lankinen. I am Director of Strategy in Lappeenranta City. I have a background in management consultancy, and I have been now working for the city in this position for about 2.5 years. I think Lappeenranta is a very interesting place for strategy development. We are one of the few cities who has actual goals set in CO2 reduction, also the visibility of our water or transparency of our water in the Lake Saimaa, and also special targets set for energy and sustainable job development in our city.
Welcome to this panel today, Mr. Markus Lankinen, and next, Mr. Jari Iskanius, please.
Hello all. My name is Jari Iskanius. I'm a financing director in City of Lappeenranta. I've been working in Lappeenranta about 5 years now, and previously I worked in social healthcare sector and private sector several years before.
Should I
Thank you.
try now?
Thank you.
If my
Now
microphone
we
works,
have Helka.
is
Please,
Helka
Helka,
here? Can you
introduce
hear me?
yourself. Can you speak, Helka? Oh, she's missing. But what about Valdur?
Okay, very good. Should I introduce myself now? Because
Now we can
can't
hear you,
I
yes.
just hear the echo.
Okay. So can Valdur have a speech?
Anyway, maybe I can introduce myself.
I think
So
we
my name
can't
is
hear
Helka
each other,
Julkunen,
so
and
we
I'm
go
now
to the first
WWF
questions and
in
so
the
on.
team of the Green Office team, where we run a program called Green Office, which is environmental management system for office surroundings. And in Finland, we have nearly 500 offices. And I have done this work for more than 20 years. So a lot of experience from the user's point of view, how the users experience, how they're using, how they try to develop the office working surrounding. Thank you.
Thank you, Helka. And Valdur, please, can you have your presentation to present yourself? Well, it seems that we will have to go to the first question. And the first question would be that what would be the effect of climate change or the role of the climate change in energy efficiency? And I pass this question first to Johanna Kirkinen. Please.
Thanks, Ilkka. So you were
Okay,
asking.
seemingly the floor is mine. Thank you very much. My name is Valdur Lahtvee, and I'm working as the policy officer at the Council of the Baltic Sea States. and my main tasks are follow up the implementation of the Baltic 2030 agenda and to coordinate horizontal action climate of the EU strategy for the Baltic states. And I'm very happy that the Effect for Building has been the flagship of the EU strategy for Baltic Sea region.
Thank you, Valdur. And now we'll go to the questions. And Johanna, you started to answer about the role of the climate change. Please continue.
Thanks. So you asked about the role of energy efficiency and how it has to do with the climate change mitigation. And I must say that energy efficiency and renewable energy, those are the two main things to do when we want to mitigate climate change. And now when we are thinking about the EU legislation, is that it's clearly stated that the energy efficiency should come first. So it's the first it's the first thing to do when we want to mitigate climate change and reduce carbon dioxide emissions. And that's something we often may forget, because I think most of the time we think them as a parallel, that we should do both, but actually there should be actually this order, that first energy efficiency and then renewable energy, because that way we can save a lot of money, because then we don't need to do such large investments to renewable energy when we first lower the energy demand by energy efficiency. Thanks.
Yes, that's good answer, I think. But let's go to ask this same question about Markus Lankinen. What is the role of climate change in building energy efficiency?
Yes, thanks for the question, and also thanks for Johanna for her comments. City of Lappeenranta, we proud ourselves that we have a great university incorporating all kinds of new technologies also related to renewable energies. But I also have to agree, maybe not in the order that first energy efficiency and then renewables, but we need definitely both in order to tackle climate change, even in Lappeenranta and in Europe, which I think we are a global forerunner in energy efficiency issues as well. We have lots of transport means, lots of housing technologies, energy production issues that can be transformed into more energy efficiency ways. And this has definitely a strategic role for tackling climate change as well.
Thank you, Markus. And next question to Marcin. Can you please say what is your opinion about what is the role of energy efficiency in climate change?
Well, the simplest answer that it is extremely important, of the prominent importance. Our world is based on fossil fuels. Almost 90% of the global primary energy comes from fossil fuels. And we must rid of them extremely quickly. We must halve their burning in a decade and nullify it several years later. So it's huge. And every large-scale energy source has its drawbacks. Biomass, wood, small scale is sustainable. Large scale, it is not. Wind is also problematic in many ways. Nuclear, also hydro. Wherever you look, there are serious drawbacks. So what we should do is not to build, well, as many energy sources, non-emission sources, as to replace all the fossil fuels, but to provide energy services. And you don't need some quantity of joules, of gigajoules for energy services, but you need, well, you need transportation, a means to move from A to B. You need thermal comfort in your house. And when you look at it, you can halve energy consumption or even decrease it further. So you don't have to build as much wind turbines, reactors, cut so many wood and so on. So I would say that extreme improvement of energy efficiency is the most important thing to do, in my opinion.
Thank you. And could Helka please comment to this same question? Let's check if everything works. Are there some delay with Helka?
Should I comment something on behalf of me? Even I thought that maybe Tanya, you can write something there that when, like you expect that I say something, because I can really hear only Johanna this moment.
Okay.
And Marcin and Valdur when they are there. But I agree with Johanna totally. What actually she took the beginning of my comments, that energy efficiency is very important. It's a priority measure when we fight against the climate change. And that we should also remember that we have to minimize the consumption. And not only through, to minimize the consumption, but then look for the solutions, how to do the energy efficiency. And I think that this event today, what you organized, can have a great input in a bigger scale, I hope, because there are so many practical examples, very good ideas, how to promote the energy efficiency. So if we want to be in the path of the 1.5, that we want to keep the warming maximum there, as they say in the Paris Agreement, I think then we need, my key word is a cooperation again, because surrounding of the building, I look at it from the point of view office buildings. There's no one party who can solve the problem. There are many parties, what we have to put them together, work together towards the same shared targets.
Well, thank you very much, Helka. I think we go to the next question. And
I think that was mine. Maybe we can,
would be,
if Valdur wants to say something now.
What are the best ways to convince
to the first question,
decision makers to implement energy efficiency measures? And I'll now pass the question to Mr. Jari Iskanius.
Thank you, Ilkka. Sometimes I hear comment that financial decision makers are the biggest deal breakers. But if I think from my point of view, avoiding or ignoring the open discussion of financial measures in these kind of investments will be certainly the biggest deal breaker in coming projects. To my mind, if I speak in financial calculations and financial measuring in general, I would put these kind of investments in three categories. First is like any other investments, the financial calculations and measures are so good that we actually don't need to argue whether this be done or not, but rather than how soon we should do it. I mean that the payback period and net present value and so on are so good that we would do it anyway. Then there is next basket or group is the must be done.
I think we can hear you
somehow.
At least
anyway,
I can hear you now.
I mean that, for example, in renewing investments, we will do this thing anyway. And these cases, to my mind, is crucial that we have 2 or 3 different options and calculate or financial calculations to compare these things or methods. And I would underline that we would not necessarily select the most inexpensive or the cheapest one, but actually we get some kind of price tag for these options. And for example, if CO2 emission measures are better than in this more expensive choice, we some kind or somehow we can utilize this result as communicating to stakeholders. I mean that we can give a message that we put effort this kind of things, even if it's not the most profitable way, but we have our responsibility to do that. But in these cases, it is very important to get this price tags and calculations. Then there is a third group, which is, let's say, most difficult one from my point of view. And I would call them some kind of brand improving investments. I mean that unfortunately in these cases, quite often we get only argumentation like we have to be early adopters. This is built in our strategy, or we have huge idea and we have to be involved in this one, and unfortunately the decision has to be done as soon as possible. And these are very difficult because in public sector like City of Lappeenranta, we have limited resources and we have unlimited needs to be satisfied. And that's why we have to, in these cases, we have to have some kind of clear predictions of amount of efforts in input and what to expect in output, and somehow relevant time span when to expect these outputs. This is what I think.
Thank you for the answer. And I think we'll try to have a comment from Valdur. You just took your microphones off. Valdur, can you hear us? I think he just took the microphones off, but Valdur has not been able to.
In order to convince decision makers to implement energy efficiency measures, it's like with donkey. In order to make donkey move, you need to have a whip and a carrot. So both ways. You have to put obligations, targets, requirements on the energy use and the delivery of the achievement of those energy efficiency goals. You have to put conditionalities for the use of the public monies, all those recovery funds, Green Deal, just transition, all those monies spent now in coming years, coming 7 years, those have to deliver the energy efficiency, and that can be put on the different phases of the applying and the use of that money. All the projects which are seeking public investments should scrutinize against how much they deliver energy efficiency or the greenhouse gas reduction. And the carrot definitely is the savings, economic savings from the efficiency. But again, there already we need knowledge and information and what those benefits are, where are those best technologies, and I think in this regard, Effect for Building Project serves very well. So, and on behalf of the Council of the Baltic Sea States, we definitely will help disseminate all this very good information delivered by the project to within our networks.
Okay, thank you, Valdur. This is interesting question. So we go further, and I will ask Mr. Markus Lankinen ask next how to convince our decision makers.
Yes, thank you, Ilkka, for this question, and I like to agree with Jari and Valdur about the stick and carrot examples. Basically, here in city of Lappeenranta, we have a good situation. Our decision makers are aware that in order to be energy efficient, we sometimes need to write off investments before the end of the technical or financial feasibility period, and the reason and the big motivation factor in Lappeenranta and our decision-making process is that, especially in energy efficiency, we are also talking about job creation. Green jobs are connected to energy efficient measures when we talk about refurbishing housing, for example.
Valdur said, and it was very, I was very happy to hear what you said. And then I would remind us that also the last presenter, he had a very good list of different actions and points of
these are high value added
would
jobs,
be answer to
and
this question.
this makes
But what
the
I would like to add,
part of
what we
the
have
energy transition period
noticed in
a
our
little bit more
green office
sweeter
team
and taste like carrot
is that
if we can connect
decision
them
makers
with
who
high
are
value added
renting the
jobs,
space or who are using the office spaces, they also look nowadays for the brand of the company, the environmental strategy, and in the terms of internal and external communication. So meaning staff members, the stakeholders, the customers, and so on, that they want to be capable to say that our workspace is energy efficient, or that they want to show what they have done in a reliable way and in convincing way. And there's also a growing number of decision makers who I call them like value-based decision makers, that they also have personal values which they want to implement in their work. And many of them, they look the work from the environmental point of view. They want to make actions which guarantee that we can have a good planet, good ecosystem, you know, that we have fighting for the climate change, that we live in that kind of society. They want to have their own input in that big process where we are at this moment. So those I would like to add there, the brand and the value-based decision maker.
Thank you, Helka. You read my thoughts and started to speak. Good. But the next one, could you please, Marcius, say what do you think about the role of the decision makers and how to convince them? So, Mr. Marcin, please.
Okay, I cannot start my camera because 4 persons are present. Anyway, I will do it anyway. I work with decision makers at the national level, so I will share my thoughts about it. In fact, nobody was really interested in energy efficiency. We were discussing how much power plants, coal power plants should we build, or should it be natural gas plants or wind turbines maybe, how many LPG terminals should we construct, but energy efficiency was not really at the top of the agenda, I would say, mildly. Let's look at the buildings, for example. When you live in a zero energy building, how much coal do you buy? How much natural gas? How much electricity, especially when you are a prosumer? Not really much. How good a customer you are for energy groups? You are a very bad customer. You don't buy a lot of their product. And well, energy companies in Poland are government-owned, I would say. So the efficiency regulations and energy law in general was written by experts from energy groups. And the law was written in such a way that, that it wouldn't harm their business. So energy efficiency was not a priority. It was harmful for them. What to do to convince politicians to change the regulations? Because, well, we must change them. We must change building standards, building codes. First, it must be politically popular. Citizens must demand energy efficiency because they are educated, because they realize that they will have low energy bills, will eliminate energy poverty, will improve energy quality because people in energy efficient houses will not feel forced to burn trash to keep warm in winter. Because people must, and politicians must realize that thermo-insulating buildings in a broad program would create tens of thousands of well-paid workplaces. And also we need lots of education, also on behalf of general public and politicians. We need pilot projects. People, when they hear about zero energy houses, they think, well, it's not for us, it must be very expensive, it's something for the Danes or Germans. We in Poland don't do it this way. But when they see such a building and they realize how high or how low are the bills, they will like it and say, hey, I would like also have an energy efficient house. I would like to be a prosumer. I would like to have a PV installation on my roof. Also, how to address decision makers. Well, in Poland, we don't have oil. We have very little natural gas. And our coal is, we are quickly running out of profitable coal. So sticking to fossil fuels is really not in our best interest. We pay tens of billions of zlotys every year to import oil and other fossil fuels from Russia and other countries. And it means energy insecurity. And also, when we look at energy revolution, it's a technological race for new technologies, for new innovations, for business. And Poland is well placed to be a, well, I'll say a net winner of the transition. We know how to produce heat pumps, recuperators, energy efficient windows, and many others, other equipment, energy efficiency equipment. And politicians, when they understand what's going on. For example, there are some programs on energy efficiency running at the National Center for Research and Development I participate in. When the center goes to politicians and says what we are doing in Poland, what are innovative technologies to be implemented, the politicians like it. And I think that there are a few ways to convince our politicians, apart from the renovation wave and money from the European Union. But it starts well with some education, some broader thinking, and also by broad public forcing the politicians to act.
Thank you, Marcin. And last person to answer this question would be Johanna. Are you still there? As a state authority, how do you think about this?
Yes, how to convince. I think there was already great answers. I think one way to convince is, well, of course, the costs were already told, but I think the digitalization is something that we really need to focus on. I think in Finland, for example, there are great services available for cities and other organizations to follow their energy consumption on time, real time, because I think that's really essential for this, that you know all the time that how much energy is consumed. I think you can compare it as to your bank account, but you should be all the time, you should know like how much money is going out of your wallet. So I think this is something similar to that we should all the time know how much energy is consumed. So digitalization is one thing that has developed in the recent years really fast. So then to make this energy consumption really visible all the time, that's one way to convince. And of course you need to have the costs there as well, not only the watt hours. And perhaps one way to convince decision makers, either if they're political or inside the cities, is to more cooperate with the communication, to actually make the messages of why this energy efficiency is so important together with the communication, so that they, together with the communication, you could make it more and more interesting. So that's something also to think about. Thanks.
Thanks, Johanna. And now we are a little bit behind the schedule, but I'll take a short step to the last question we have, that what are the most important barriers? What are the most important barriers to implement energy efficiency? And is the Valdur possible to answer this question just shortly? What's the most important barriers? There are still some questions. There seems to be some difficulties, but
it's really difficult to have only one or few answers to that question. What are the most important barriers to implement the energy efficiency measures? It really depends on the situation, on the place, on the type of the building, on the ownership, on the whatever. For example, the biggest floor area of old non-efficient buildings are the multi-flat dwellings, which are quite often owned by the just flat owners, the cooperatives, and then to reach the agreement for taking the loan in order to carry out investments for the deep renovation, to reach that agreement seems to me most difficult and biggest barrier. But again, the governments can help a lot on this by providing different incentives for the owners to really go for the renovation, go for the investments into the energy efficiency in the building. One barrier might be the lack of the knowledge of the possibilities, technologies, and that is very much related to the quality of the energy audits, which should take place before the renovation starts in order to determine what measures are most cost efficient and deliver most in terms of the savings of the energy. And I think that one barrier today, if we look how renovation of the building takes place, that we really are little narrow-minded in the sense that, okay, we have money to renovate the building, to the deep renovation, then we look only for energy efficiency, for the inner comfort, the inner climate quality, but we do not look the other benefits in terms of the long-term future, because buildings are standing there hundreds of years. If you built the house, put up the building, and when you renovate it, you have to think that it stands there also next 100 or couple 100 years. So you should look for the longer future. We know the climate is changing, and together with climate change, all negative affect the stronger winds, more frequent extreme weather events, the precipitation is higher, the sea level is rising. So all those aspects should also be taken care of, and together with the deep renovation aiming energy efficiency, we also could look other benefits like more resilient building to the long-term climate effects. And I'm again very happy that the effect for building project is represented at the another project which is ongoing today, CAMS, Climate Adaptation Mitigation Synergies, which is looking answers on those how to get the core benefits while investing into the energy efficiency during the deep renovation of the buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Markus. And the last comment on this question will be given by Jari Iskanius, and then we have to, I think we have to close the panel. So we have used the 15 minutes after that, so to my closing remarks. Please, Jari, comment to this barriers thing.
Thank you, Ilkka. I agree with Valdur, and also I agree with Johanna previous comment about digitalization and communication. I'm not sure about barriers of making or implementing financial measures, but I have been thinking that are the decision makers and so-called specialists speaking same language. So I think that there can be a quite big barrier also. Thank you.
Thank you, Jari. So we have had good opinions about how the energy efficiency and public buildings, public decision makers barriers are affecting our energy efficiency achievements or targets. And we have had quite good comments, and there are some good questions in the and answers and discussion in the note side of this meeting. And I will be very happy to say that this almost 4 years of cooperation with the different stakeholders in our project and different partners in our project has been fruitful to us and to me personally also, and I will thank Maarit for this. In this occasion, I can say that I thank you, Maarit, for this project. But for the so we would have been very happy to have the meeting here at the Lappeenranta, but unfortunately the COVID situation was so bad. But I thank very much for the panelists. This was, even we had some difficulties in technology, we managed to make a good discussion and had great comments. So I thank you for your attention and thank you for the panelists.
We invite you to the break. See you at 2:30 in 25 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.